Today we're going to talk about using tables in your HTML document. This is probably the last HTML lab we're going to do for a while. Tables are a great way of organizing data. I recommend that you are following along with me. This is the lab document I posted this week, or something similar to it. And we're going to be doing this, creating this table down here to start. So the first thing you want to do is you want to open Notepad++. And you want to save it. Either if you're at school, you're going to want to save it in your public.www folder. Okay. And you want to be very careful that exactly how you save it's going to be a big deal. So you're going to want to save it in your public.www folder, in your CSC 180 folder, inside the HTML folder. And you're going to save it as calendar.html. Okay. So again, that is saving it as calendar.html inside your HTML folder, inside your CSC 180 folder, inside public.www folder. Okay. Spelling and capitalization are important. You're going to see that at the end of today's lab. Okay, so for our HTML document, what we first want to do is we first want to use the basic HTML skeleton. You guys should be getting pretty familiar with this by now. HTML tag. We've got a head section, a body section. And remember, we have two sets. Each tag has an open tag and a closed tag. Inside my head tag, I'm going to have a title tag. There we go. And eventually, this document is going to be your February 2012 calendar. We're going to start with a little example that you can build on. So I'm going to actually give this the title, though, of February 2012. There we go. And since February is Valentine's month, I'm going to give this a background color of pink here. You don't have to do that at all. Totally optional. The first thing we want to do is we want to make sure this is saved properly. So I'm going to go to my desktop, go to my public.www folder where I saved it. If you're at your home computer, you're probably going to want to save it on your desktop and later put it into your public.www folder using the techniques described online. Okay, here we go, calendar.html. So far it's pretty simple, it's basic, it's pink, and it just has this title, February 2012. So next thing I want to do, I want to do a table. So we haven't seen tables yet. Remember, tables are going to look something like this. We're going to create this little example, and then we're going to modify it to look a little bit more like a calendar example right there. Okay, so there's several parts to a table. The first is the table tags. We have an open table tag and a closed table tag. So before I do that, I want to center everything. There we go. Table tag, table tag. Okay, so that's the first set of tags I need. Coming back here, we see that there's this caption. This caption creates this heading up here with the table information. Use a caption tag. Again, as most tags, they come in pairs. What did I call this? My table. And if we save and take a look, refresh. There we go. It's very exciting, as you can see. So to make it more interesting, I like to make this a little bit more dramatic. So I'm going to use the H1 tag. Again, that's H1, not HL. For the heading 1. There we go. That's a little bit more dramatic. And then the table isn't really useful unless it has some information in it. So underneath the caption tag, I'm going to create a row, table row. Now, with HTML, you always do the rows first. So we're writing here in a document. We can't specify a grid like this in a document. We only do one line at a time in a document. So in order to do this grid, we first do the rows. So we have 3 rows to our table. This first row, the second row, and this third row. So 3 rows. We're doing a lot of copying and pasting in today's lab. So notice that's the middle row, and the tags go together. And then inside each row, we're going to have 3 columns. Right? So each row, we have 3 rows, 3 columns. Here's a column, here's a column, here's a column. Okay, so while we use TR for the tag for table row, there's actually 2 different kinds of tags for the table columns. The first one is called a TH, stands for table header. So it creates the first row. In the first row of your table, you often want header items, things a little bit more bold, kind of automatically centered. Table header tag does all that for you. So for what we're going to do is we're going to go into our first row, and we're going to create 3 table headers. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to name them column 1, column 2, and column 3. There we go. Save this and take a look. Refresh. You have column 1, column 2, and column 3. Now it's not very clear what's going on here. So let's keep going a little bit and we'll see it pulls together. Other than the header, these other items we use are something called a table data. Okay, so table header, table data. So in the first row, we have all table headers. In the second row, I want table data tag. There we go. And I am going to put these are the second row. How do we do this here? This is the A row, first column. There we go. And then we have A row, second column, and A row, third column. Again, it takes a little bit of getting used to think of this table in this fashion. So instead of having columns that we think of as going across, right, 1, 2, 3. Here we have to write them going down, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now the last row is going to be the same as the second row, except instead of saying A, we're going to have a B here. Just like that. Okay, let's take a look. Save. Refresh. There we go. There's our table. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. There we go. There's the table. It doesn't look like much of the table though, right? There's no lines. So we want to show the lines around our table. And to do that, we're going to use an attribute. Here we go. It uses the border attribute table tag. So I'm going to go into my table tag and I'm going to specify a border of, I can do whatever numbers I want. If you do 10, you're going to have a very large border. This has thick black along the outside. The inside's always going to be the same. So if we do a border of instead maybe a 2, we have a very skinny border around it. So I don't care what you choose. I'm going to stick with, I think maybe I'll do 5. There we go. And because this is a number, the quotation marks are optional. So see, that still works either way. Okay, so that's looking a lot more like a table. The next thing we want to do is format it, because imagine if we wanted to create a calendar, which is what you guys are going to be doing next. Looks sort of like this. These two tables are the same, except this one has been formatted so that each cell here is 100 pixels by 100 pixels. Okay, as opposed to here, where they're just shoved together. So to modify that, we're going to use the width and height attribute. So we're going to say the width of this cell is 100, the height of this cell equals 100. Okay, and notice I'm not choosing this first row because those we don't want to change. We just want to change the other rows. So I'm leaving the first row alone and doing this to the other rows. And then I'm going to just copy and paste this. Like this. Here we go. There is one more thing we need to do to make this look like a calendar, and that is notice these numbers and letters are not in the upper left-hand corner as is standard. Also, notice the background is pink, but also the table is pink. I don't want my table to be pink. Let's fix that first. So I want my table to be white with a pink background. I'm going to go into my table tag here, and we already set this border attribute. I'm also going to set the BG color attribute. So that's the same attribute name as the body. Here where we set the BG color to be the pink, here I want to set the BG color attribute to white. And there we go. So now our table is white with a pink background, or whatever color you decided to use. Okay, so back to our other problem where we want these to be at the top. They're already over to the left, so all we are worried about is moving them up. So there's one more attribute we want to use, and that's v-align. V-align equals top. There we go. So I'm going to copy and paste this. And so and now pull up our table and refresh it. It's going to look a lot closer to a calendar. Right? These numbers are in the right position for a calendar. It's all set up to be a calendar. There's one more thing we need to talk about, and that is with a calendar, normally there's a few days at the beginning of the month and a few days at the end of the month that aren't really part of the current month. They're usually left blank. So what if we were going to leave this A1 blank? There we go. And maybe A2 as well. The first 2 days of this little tiny baby month or calendar are not part of the month. The problem is when we do this, okay, so this is clearly working. I'm using Google Chrome right here. This does not normally work. So if I were to go to my folder, that's at first, and I'm going to say open with Internet Explorer. Okay, so this is what I was expecting to happen. Pull that up again. Okay, so clearly this is browser dependent, right? Internet Explorer and Mozilla Firefox, this is going to happen. It does not look the way you want it to look. Clearly Google Chrome has fixed this problem. Okay, so that's not an issue here. But you'd like your web page to work anywhere, not just on Google Chrome. Not that many people use Google Chrome. It's not the most popular web browser. Internet Explorer is. And in Internet Explorer, this is a problem. So there's a solution to this problem. If you come back to the lab document, come down here, there's some special characters. Okay, We're going to use this one right here. It's an ampersand NBSP. It stands for non-breaking space. And if we put it here instead where we have a space, it's going to fix our problem. NBSP semicolon. And notice as soon as I hit the semicolon, it changed to italics. And it even, kind of hard to see, it highlights it in yellow. So if I select this whole thing and paste it right here, now no matter what browser we're using, refresh, it's going to look correct. There we go. So it doesn't affect anything using Google Chrome. Using Internet Explorer, it now looks proper, right? This is when you have a calendar, these first 2 days are just blank. In fact, with a calendar, maybe I even want to gray these out. So I can come in here and add yet another attribute. BG color equals light gray. We're running off the screen a little bit here. But the idea is this BG color attribute is very useful. You can use it in the body tag, in the table tag, in the table data tag. Save. Check this out. It kind of puts this gray color here. Okay, so you're almost ready to do your calendar now. There's one last thing we need to talk about, and that is, this is kind of a pain. Look at all of these. This width, this height, the align, background color. It's just a lot. So in your document, I've given you some code that makes it a lot shorter. We're not going to go into this very much. This is known as CSS Code, and this is one of the more modern ways of doing HTML documents. And what you do is you're just going to copy that code, Control-C, to the top of your program. They're all going to hate me right now. Go into the head. So far, we've only used the title in the head, but now we're going to put this in here inside the head. Control-V, and then you want to clean it up a little bit easier to read. There we go. If we throw this in here, what this is saying for all table headers inside the HTML document, set the width to 100. And for all table data sections, set the width to 100 and the height to 100 and the vertical line to the top. So this effectively means we do not have to do any of this right here. So for the sake of clarity, I'm going to delete this all. Yeah, I told you you're not going to hit me right here. There we go. Much easier to read now. Maybe we want to add one more of these light gray to our other empty cell. Like that. There we go. Okay, so all the formatting stays the same. We still have these nice square cells. We still have our values in the upper left-hand corner. And again, this is going to work just as well in Google Chrome as it is in Internet Explorer. There we go. Okay, so what you're going to want to do now is I'm going to let you do this on your own. You are going to modify the document we've just put together and create out of it, create a calendar. So you are going to change the caption. So right here we have our caption is my table. You're going to modify that. You are going to add more columns and more rows. Okay, so there's 3 more rows and 4 more columns. So remember how the rows work. This is one row. Here's each of the columns. So if we're going to add 4 more columns, you're going to actually have a total of 7 right here. Okay, and then you're going to have a total of 7 right here. And then you're going to have a total of 7 right here. And then you're going to have an additional 4 rows, or 3 rows. Which one was it? An additional 3 rows. So then you're going to take this whole thing with those 7 columns inside of it, copy it and paste it 3 times. You're then going to want to sit and go through carefully the numbering, make sure which cells are blank and which cells have values. So February started on a Wednesday. And when you're done, well, something like this. This is a lot more complicated than yours needs to look. Okay, like you don't worry about these images yet, the words. Yours should just be blank, but this general shape and size. And then I give you a little bit of information and instructions for how to go through and how to add these images. We already did a background color. Text, these are links, right, so you can click on this. If you want to use exam dates from your other courses, you can also add that. Here's an example of the code that I put inside one of the cells to include a link to the Tell a Fairy Tale Day, right here on the 26th. I got that website or that information along with other things right here. Give you this link. This is a whole bunch of fun holidays, okay? Bizarre, wacky, unique holidays for 2012. If you go to February, you can see a long list. And in fact, there's the American Heart Month, the Black History Month, the Great American Pie Month, National Weddings Month, and then every day has all sorts of different holidays. So have fun with it. Pick whichever ones you're interested in. Love your pet day. I like that one. And this is a little bit of information about the holiday. And what you can do is you can just click on the web address and copy it and paste it in your document. Okay, so I give you those instructions how to do that right down here. Okay, so here's how for the Tell a Fairy Day. Here's the link. I didn't put it all in, it'd be just messy. And the text, and this is inside a table data cell. You need to modify at least 3 cells, including images and background colors, or background colors, text, and then have at least 1 link. Okay, so have fun with this.